Hello, and welcome everybody to Healing is War, where we explore the dark side of starting your spiritual journey. My name is Elmira. I am your host. On each episode, we explore a specific topic to help guide you on your healing and spiritual journey. Today, we actually have a special guest, Rachel Veronica, and the topic is coming home from war. I can't wait for you all to ingest and to hear exactly what she has to share. I can tell you one of the things that she told me was every single day is either it's a choice. She makes a choice every single day to decide, do I want to battle with my mind or do I want to battle with my higher self? And I just find that phenomenal, Rachel. So, first of all, Rachel, I would love to hear, what does this mean for you, this particular topic, coming home from war? Why is that relevant?
Yeah, so it's a big topic for me because I have actually been to war. I am a veteran. I was in the US Army. And when I came home from war, it was more chaotic than me actually being in war. So I had a lot of thoughts over there, like, why can't I just stay? Why do I have to go back home? I was getting kicked out of the place that I was staying with. Staying with my brother. I was getting kicked out of there, so I had to find a place to live. Luckily, one of my other brothers welcomed me in until I could find my own spot. But that was just it was hard dealing with, okay, I'm in war and now I have to come home to more chaos. So what's the point? And it was just tough. And I was really angry for a long time. I've had to kind of let some of that go with my family. Even coming home, like our motorcade, I don't know if you've ever known anyone in the military, but when they come home, it's like a big celebration. It's a parade. Everybody's families are there.
Hmm.
And I was lucky enough to have three people show up for me that day. My mom, my twin sister, and one of my best friends. So those three were there. I have a very large family, so they were all waiting for me at the house that they were throwing me a party at. But if they would have just known how much more special it would have been for them to actually show up for me for once in my life, just show up for me at the armory, I would have rather had them do that than throw me a party because um, for a very, very long time, I've thought I was a piece of shit. The military treats you like a piece of shit. When you go to war, you're just a number. The first thing my drill sergeant told me when I got on the bus was, "Your recruiters lied to you. You're all going to war." That was the first thing they said to us,
Oh
and
my.
and a lot of us did go to war. So um, overcoming feeling so little, feeling like I don't matter, feeling like what's the point? Why am I even here? People don't care about me. I don't have good relationships with people. I have grown up in chaos my whole life. All I know is chaos. So how do I get better? And it took a long time. I went through addictions with cocaine and alcohol when I came back. I moved to Las Vegas. That was probably I love it here. I really love Las Vegas, but I could have probably chose a safer place to go where I wouldn't have been so destructive. But I feel like I was supposed to go through all of this. I was supposed to go through the suffering because now I can share and help other people out of it. Because there is a way out. There's a way out of all of the suffering. I don't have to be in the chaos anymore unless I choose to be. Just like you said at the beginning, it is my choice when I wake up now, how I want to be, how I want to act. God is going to test me every single day too. And I can see the lessons now. It's great when you know you're being tested and you're like, all right, how can I be better this time around than how I reacted last time? Because in the military, we don't use our brain. They tell us to do something and we just react. So learning how to retrain your brain to actually stop, understand what's going on, don't get emotional, and don't just react. Figure out that you're safe or whatever the situation may be, because people get triggered I get triggered, then chaos happens again, right? So it's learning how to mitigate those crazy thoughts in your mind when you just want to react.
Okay, I gotta ask you this because you were talking about being in the military. It's like you don't think. Do you, and you had to really like retrain your brain, and I know you do that with your clients now with the subconscious, hypnosis, all the various things you help the clients with. Was the military your first introduction into not thinking, or would you say you already grew up that way, where you didn't pay attention to like how your mind or your body or any of this stuff was happening?
That's a very deep question. And, I never learned how to deal with my emotions when I was a child. It was, I was a very emotional child. I was called a spirited child, whatever that means. But I always felt different. I always felt like I didn't belong. Um, I definitely had to teach myself as an adult how to regulate my emotions because I was never taught how to do it properly as a child because my parents didn't know how to do it. So how could they teach me?
Hmm.
I've had to teach myself everything in my life. I didn't really get a lot of direction from my family. So I was the rebel. I did whatever I wanted. I didn't listen to anybody because nobody wanted to teach me anyways. They just kept saying, "No, don't do that. No, don't do this," instead of explaining like this is what it really is. Instead of just saying, "No, don't do that." Well, now I'm going to go do it and I'm going to go find out why. So that's kind of how I was as a kid. I was definitely a rebel, definitely did my own thing. I didn't listen to anybody. And that's a lot of people were surprised when I wanted to go to the military because they're like, "You don't listen to anybody. You're going to listen to these guys?" And I'm like, this is my escape to get away. So, yes, I'm going to do whatever I can to get away from this and go somewhere else.
Okay, when you said that, you actually reminded me of Bob Proctor. Have you heard his story before?
I know who he is, but I don't know his story.
Okay, check this because about a month ago, his family put out a memoir movie. So they did a film on his life, and you might know he grew up in Canada, like Toronto area, I believe. But one of the things, the highlights was as a young man, he was that rebel. He was undisciplined, so he enrolled in the military. And so in the movie, his sister and some other family members are given the account like how was he going to survive in the military? He never listened to anybody. He wasn't disciplined. But check this, you are very similar to Bob Proctor in the way that because of his upbringing and what he had to learn about his mind and nobody taught him things, he became the greatest leader teaching human potential. And that's what you do. Like you said before, you were like, I had to go through this so I can show other people what it's like to come home from war. Like, because what I hear in your statement is, what did you really come home to? Like, and that's gonna be next. What did you feel like you had something to come home to after being away?
Uh, I mean, I have a huge family. I'm the seventh kid, so I have abundance of siblings. So there was obviously somebody that was going to take me in, but it was just like, who wants her? Who wants to deal with Rachel when she comes back home? Kind of thing. That's how I imagine this conversation going on. I don't really know what took place, but yeah, I even when I was overseas, all of my friends would be every single day talking to their family. I was like, damn, I can't even get a text back from some people. I talked to my mom. She was the only one that really talked to me when I was over there. So, kind of like watching other people interact with their families and like knowing how big mine is. And it's like, where's the disconnect? Why can't I have that?
Hmm.
So there was a lot of I don't know if it was grief or jealousy maybe. Like I wish I could just have that kind of support from anybody in my family, you know. My mom was obviously always there. My mom, I give my mom a lot of credit for putting up with me and talking to me, but at least she was there. Um, but yeah, feeling like I really didn't feel like I had anything to come home to. It was just like, what do I do now? So I had to figure it out really quick. I ended up finding an apartment a few months after, and then a year later, I moved to Vegas. So it's kind of like I'm just planning on getting out of here anyways. So it was always a big escape for me. How do I escape Ohio and go somewhere else?
What would you say? Because the key word you just mentioned, Rachel, is escape. When you came home, you said your mom, she truly supported you. You had a big family, but it was only those three people who showed up on coming home day. What would you say to somebody who feels like they need to escape? They may be at that place in their life. They're like, I'm done with this. This life sucks. Like, what do I I need to do something. Either I need to move, I need to change this, I need to change this. What are the steps to escaping?
Well, you definitely need a bankroll. So make sure you have that part of it figured out. Because if you don't have that, you're not going anywhere. So at least I had a bankroll to go wherever I wanted. Um, But I really wish I would have had the conversations with my family before just moving instead of being so angry and in my feelings and in the alcohol. I wish I would have been able to have a civil conversation and actually express, hey, this is how I feel. I've felt like an outsider my whole life. I feel like I don't belong here. And I wish I would have been able to convey that because I've never really gotten to. I just kind of left.
Did you ever get to have that conversation?
No.
Do you now, with all of the work you've done, the healing work, you mastered, I would say, a lot of different things. Do you feel like it's necessary to have that conversation or not?
At this point, I don't think so. Just like, where's the conversation gonna go? I always get told that I talk about the past too much. So let's just move on, kind of thing.
Hmm. Would you say that's a good tip for somebody? Because I can say personally, I went through the same thing with my family and dealing with the past, like what happened with my mom and dad and their breakup and just all the stuff we go through as a child. Do you think other people need to have that conversation, or would you kind of say, let the past be the past, let's live in the present and move forward?
I think it just depends on the situation. You know, maybe having that conversation would be a good thing, but uh, sometimes those conversations can trigger other emotions, and now you're fighting with that person, and you didn't even mean for it to become a fight, you know? So it's kind of like, how is it going to snowball? Is it going to snowball in a good way or in a bad way? So you kind of have to like look at all sides. Do these people even care? Would they
Mm,
even want to know this? I don't know. I don't know if they would like to know that.
yeah,
So
you
that's
don't
it's
know.
hard. It's hard. You kind of have to weigh the options and pick whatever is best for you. I always say choose what's best for you. Um, because at the end of the day, you're with yourself 24 hours a day. Nobody else is with you 24 hours a day. So do what makes you happy. I haven't lived for my family ever. I've lived for
Mm,
myself. So it's easier for me to just be like, whatever, I can just drop it now. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to allow it to cause me suffering anymore because I've let it go. I understand that I don't come from my family. I come through my family, and I had to come through these people and go through these situations to bring me here right now.
I just caught that. You said I came through my family. That is so relevant. Like that's like woo, celestial. Like it because it's so true to what actually goes on because sometimes we have all these attachments like I want my mom to love me. I want my dad to love me. I want them to see me for who I really am. Stop judging me. I'm not weird. I'm not this or whatever we're going through and the reality is we came through the family.
Yes.
Wow. What would you say? Because this just came to mind too. Because this topic of home, and people always referencing like the home is within. Can you speak a little bit about that? Like home, because a lot of times we hear home and it's like this place. For you, Ohio, Cleveland, whatever, and you're like, it's home. But how do we compare that or make a juxtaposition between is home really in me? Like, where is home?
That is pretty deep. I would even take it further into like home is our consciousness. When we can finally connect to our true consciousness, that's what home is. This is just a shell where I'm at right now. This is a place that I've given my love and attention to create it as my space. But my home is me. It's God. It's that consciousness inside of us that is asleep in a lot of people. And then when you wake it up, it's like, welcome home, you know?
What I just saw was this sign. You know how we have the sign on the doorstep that says like welcome home or uh people have all kinds of things on those welcome mats, but we have to do that with ourselves. Welcome back. Because we've been ignoring ourselves. We've been ignoring that this is actually the home within us, not all of these things that are out here, my earrings, this dress, my glasses, my hair, the money,
Right.
all the things, it really doesn't matter. I want to go back to something you were speaking about with the mind. How did you come to an understanding that you wanted to reprogram your mind?
Yeah, this is an interesting story. So I was in my addiction phase from basically 2014 to 2022. Okay. It's a pretty long time to suffer, but going through all of that, partying, drinking, drugging, being around people that don't care about me, kind of zooming out of my life and like, what do I really want? Do I really want this fake lifestyle that Vegas has to offer? Or I know there's something inside of me that has been trying to crawl out for I don't know how long because they know they're meant for more. So I had to really zoom out and like analyze what are these drugs and alcohol doing besides ruining my life? I go hard or go home. I'm a very high functioning addict. Some people wouldn't even know I was drunk when I would be blasted. You know, I'm very high functioning. I would go to work messed up. I'm sure people started to figure it out after a while, but you know, trying to deal with, all right, I have a job, I gotta go party, I want cocaine, I want to do all of these crazy things. And then Andrew Tate started coming around and putting out his content. And I started listening to Andrew. And I don't know what it is about that man, but his words just spoke directly to my soul. And it really made me, it punched me in the face with reality. And I started listening to all of his content. And then I'm like, all right, I'm in control. I can take over my life. So I decided, all right, I'm going to get rid of all my friends. I'm not going to leave my house and I'm going to get sober. I don't know how I'm going to do it alone, but I'm going to do it. So I started going to the gym for like 3 days or 3 hours a day. I was going to a yoga class. I broke down to my yoga teacher one day and she was like the leader of this AA group. So she invited me to go to one of the sessions at AA and it was just where I needed to be. I finally found a group of people that wanted to help me stay sober. And that really helped me for like the first year of my sobriety. So shout out to that. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about that, but
Yeah, you can talk about anything.
um, so like shout out to AA and just having people make you feel like you're not alone because you cannot get sober alone. I tried it so many times. It does not work. You need a support system. You need somebody there to just give you encouragement. You need to hear somebody else's shitty problems and you look at yourself and it's like, okay, well, it's my life isn't really that bad
Hmm.
compared to what's going on in this room right now. So it just made me really look outside of myself. Like, what do I really want? So I got sober. I found Marissa Peer. I don't know if you know who Marissa Peer is.
Love her. I listen to her like meditations every now and again. She's phenomenal. RTT.
Yes, so I am a rapid transformational therapist. I use her
Awesome.
version of hypnosis. I love Marissa, and she put me in the step forward too to kind of change my life. But I was still in my addiction when I took her course and became certified. So all while doing this, I'm trying to get sober. I'm taking classes to better myself, and then just one day I was like, I have to get rid of everybody and just keep moving forward. So that was probably the hardest thing, just getting rid of everybody. Because I did send a text message to people like, hey, I'm not okay. And nobody responded. So that just showed me even more like, these are not my friends. They don't care about me. None of these people care about themselves. I'm never going to be in an equation of where I'm going to be important to any of these people unless I have drugs or a party to go to. It's just not worth it. So saying goodbye to that identity and like creating this new one, it has not been easy. It has been a war. It's been taking accountability for everything. Everything in my life is my fault. And when you can actually do that and say that with conviction and be like, it's all my fault. Now I'm gonna change it. That's where like true transformation comes. Yeah, that accountability.
The role of accountability. What were the steps to getting there? Because, of course, you sent the text message to all of these friends saying, I'm not okay. No one responded. And then you're just like, I got to leave that life. I got to reclaim a new identity. Were the steps? How long did it take? What I want to give the listeners some insight because when people embark on this journey and they say, I want to come home back to myself. I don't want to deal with the shitty stuff. What can they expect?
You can expect a lot of loneliness. Expect that, and it sucks. But if you can get through the loneliness, a lot of people can't sit at home by themselves. They need something to do. They need somewhere to go. They need to be around people. If you're able to sit at home and be alone by yourself, you're in a better position than anybody else. I was okay with doing that. I did not mind doing that. Um, I started going to AA February 3rd, 2023. That is my sober date. And that was the day that I vowed that I was never going to touch alcohol or cocaine ever again in my life. And I have not since. And that's how I plan on keeping it because I always say alcohol is the devil. It just turns people crazy. It's not for me. And I've saved a lot of money too. So
Right?
that's a plus. But so yeah, so February 2023 till now, I didn't I just started building my businesses in March of this year. So it took me like a whole year and a half to actually get the courage to put myself back out there and integrate in with society again because I've been alone for so long.
Mm,
So how do I talk to people? How do I not be weird? How do I not be awkward? Just kind of getting into this new identity of not being a victim, but being a victor,
mm,
and not like these old identities that we cling on to. Like I clung on to being in the military for so long. Like the military was my identity for at least a few years after I got out. Like I could not let that go. So then being a drug addict, like how do you let that identity go? You have to kill it. That's the only way you can do it. You literally have to kill that identity and create a new one.
Does that old identity ever want to come back? Because it's like sometimes they want to creep in and say, "Hey, Rachel, I'm here." Like, does that ever happen?
So this is what I think like the God when God tests you, I I had a few people like message me to come out with them, but I always say no, no thank you. No thank you is my response to everybody. So as long as you can say no thank you and not feel bad, I don't think you will have a problem. Um, but that's only me. I can't speak for everybody else. I can only speak for me and my situation. I feel I have a little bit more stronger of a personality to kind of not feel bad when I say no.
Mm,
You know, some people might feel bad or guilty, like, oh, these are my friends. But are they? Are they really your friends? Did you tell them you're trying to get sober and you don't want to go out anymore? Because guess what? They will never talk to you again. Guaranteed. Guaranteed they're never going to text you again.
wow. Because it is this war thing when we have this old identity, like you, military. I was an addict. Like it's like you become that at a moment in time, but then you make a decision and say, no, I'm supposed to reclaim something else. It's hard. It's a battle. I found that out when I moved here to Georgia a couple of years ago. I got evicted from my office, my massage office. Then I got evicted from my house, my apartment. It was so many things and then later on, my car got repossessed. It was just a lot. And what it was all speaking to me is you have to let go. That's not your identity. Your identity is not in this business. You as a massage therapist, your identity is not this home you live in or whatever. It's actually you, not your identity. And you stated it earlier. The identity is not these possessions. It really isn't. And I had to come to grips with that. That was tough because you hold on to those things and you think that's who you are. It's
Yeah.
like it's like no, that's not who. Well, who would you say you are today?
Who am I today? I'm consciousness. I am here to wake people's souls up. I am a light that shines. I'm positive. But me, I'm a soul. I am a soul that lives in this body. That's what I am. There's nothing more or nothing less to me. I am the soul of consciousness, and I'm just ready to help people wake up.
Yeah, and it's to me it's the optimum time. We have so much happening just right now. Right
Yeah.
now in this moment there's so many things happening and people definitely they need you. How specifically do you help clients? I know you got trained with the RTT method. What are the resources you provide?
So I have a few different packages that I offer. I have a one-on-one session or a 4-week transformation. I always say the 4-week is so much better, just so you're held accountable. Um, but I have to go through a pre-checklist with people first, just to make sure that we are on the same page and connect together and should work together. Because there's some people that I may not have the energy for. You
Hmm.
know, my energy might be a little different than yours, and I might be a little too savage for you and your healing. You might need somebody a little softer. I am a savage healer. I am not going to sugarcoat your pain. We are going to rework everything in your brain but you have to do the work. So it's finding people that will actually do the work and hold themselves accountable. Those are the kinds of people that I want to work with. The people that have tried all forms of therapy and just nothing works because it's all about the surface. It's not going into the subconscious and like going to those first memories when you were 5 and you got laughed at in your class for reading and now you have the biggest fear of public speaking. We can rewire that.
Why why are you the savage healer? Because I love that. I'm like, come bring it.
Well,
Tell me more about that. Tell us more about that.
I just don't want to sugarcoat people's pain because I sugarcoated my own for so long, and I wish I had somebody to just kick me in the ass. I wish I would have had that. Andrew Tate was my punch in the face. That was I needed that tough love, so I know other people need it too, and I don't want to sugarcoat. You're not a victim. None of us are victims.
No, you can't, because we can't play the victim role and continue to say, oh, it's so and so's fault that I kept drinking, or it's so and so's fault. I used to do that. I used to blame my parents and say, there's no way I can be a better person because my parents broke up and my mom did this and my dad did this to me and the church did this to me. I would run down the list. But then one day I woke up and said, Elmira, no, this is all your fault. Like, seriously, this is your fault. How are you going to take responsibility? I call it owning your shit. Like I say that when I would teach this Get Over Your Ex workshop, that was the title of one of the segments. It was like own your shit, because it's true. In that savage way, we have to be comfortable with confronting all of that deep stuff and not blame anybody else, because yes, other people played a role, but in the end, going back to something you stated, who's there with me 24 hours? They done forgot about it.
Yeah.
They're not living my life, and I'm over here worried about something that happened to me when I was 6. They're like, what are you complaining about?
Right.
Because it all comes back, it all comes back to us. It it really does. It just comes back to us. I think I have one final question, because you're a veteran. Would you say this war with finding out who you are and coming to the home within you, or the actual war on the battlefield was worse? Which one, if you had to compare the two, which which would you pick?
I think I'd rather go back to Afghanistan, to be
What?
honest with you. No, it's a really tough question because would I want to go through what I went through again? Probably not. I would want to make better decisions. But coming home to yourself is definitely worth it than going back to war. But going through the whole process, I'm just glad I did it when I did because I could have let that dragged on for another decade, 2 decades, and then I'd be dead anyways.
Mm,
So, I'm fortunate that I did it when I was 35, and some of these guys in my group were like 60 and still getting DUIs. So,
what?
when I look at the perspective of it all, I did it right when I was supposed to, and thankfully I did. Thankfully I made the choice because that's all life is. Life is a choice. People don't want to understand that. They choose everything. You choose your anxiety, you choose the OCD. You are choosing it every single day by not acting differently and choosing a different identity.
Choice. It is, it's definitely a choice, because you could have easily stayed there.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned these 60-year-olds. They're making a choice to stay in the position they are right now.
Yeah.
How can people get in touch with you, Rachel? What's the
I
best
am.
way?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Rachel Veronica. Born for This Hypnosis. Zen Private Paradise is my other business. I use my house as a content sanctuary. You can host photo shoots, birthday parties, all kinds of things here. So that's another one. RachelVeronica.com. And I'm on TikTok, Born for This Hypnosis.
You said born for this?
Yes.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah,
Because
we're
it,
all born for this.
yeah. And you know what? Again, I draw back to Bob Proctor. Y'all have a lot of similarities because the first book he wrote was called You Were Born Rich.
Yeah,
So
I didn't read that.
y'all have like this Genesis thing, like you were born like this, you were born for this. Okay,
Yeah.
everybody, you heard it right here on Healing is War from Rachel Veronica. Make sure you get in touch with her. RachelVeronica.com. Also, Born for This is on TikTok, is on Instagram. Zen Paradise is available too. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, your soul is calling you to greatness. Be a soldier. You are ready for war. Bye, everybody.
Bye.